Hi there guys, how you going? So it's time for me to resume my favourite hobby of being internally conflicted whether I don't want to watch the new Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers or not, and wanting to overanalyze the crap out of them. So the overanalyzing the crap side of it is won out yet again. I'm going to be going through this trailer and picking apart the interesting things that I noticed, and I really want you guys to comment as well, because I'm sure I missed tons of stuff. I would love to hear absolutely everything you guys have found out about this, because we're getting so close. I'm getting extremely hyped, and it's a brand new trailer, so let's dive in. Lots and lots of stuff to unpack here. So I'm going to go ahead and watch it through once. Again, huge spoiler warning. If you guys are of the opinion that you don't want to be spoiled before watching, before playing it for yourself, we're only a few months away now. If you've held on strong for this long, don't let me be the thing that breaks your back. Feel free to click away from this video right now. You're almost there. But for the rest of you guys that want to know absolutely every nitty-gritty little detail and share them as a community, we'll strap on in. Let's get going. Spoiler warning for the film Big Hero 6. If you haven't seen that film, I would definitely recommend seeing it. I really, it was an enjoyable time. Whether the plot of Kingdom Hearts 3 takes place before, during, or after Big Hero 6, I would be leaning towards during/after. So, again, if you haven't watched it, I'd probably give it a go. But anyway, let's go ahead and watch this thing once, have a quick chat about it, and then we'll go through and really break it down. So, immediately into San Fransokyo. We have not actually seen any footage from inside this world yet. We've seen one teaser image 2-3 years ago. Sora riding this Baymax versus the one that was spoiler for Big Hero 6, left behind at the end of that film, which has presumably been possessed. Sora immediately meets Hero and Baymax and Gogo, and the other Honey and Fred and who was the last one? I forget his name. Anyway, quick tiny little shot of Monsters Inc. World, and I really don't quite know the point of that, but I guess to remind you guys if you forgot, or just to show off almost all the world so far. I guess we don't really see we don't see the Pirates of the Caribbean world. Some beautiful combat stuff here going on. Lots of different locales. We're going to be fighting at night, day, dusk. I don't know if that's, locked into just this world, or if every world's going to have a day-night cycle. Gummi ship sections look so beautiful. I hope the combat's improved, but it seems like there are going to be more options at the very least. Oh no, we skipped over tons there, but we'll go back through it slowly. And then this just jam-packed montage. My god, there is a lot to go through there. So let's go ahead, turn this thing back down to 25% speed. I'm going to mute it for you so you don't have to hear the exaggerated, drawn-out audio. And we'll go through it. Again, we're going to skip forward just a little bit through this Big Hero 6 stuff. Because it's mostly, well, I didn't glean too many details off it. If you guys did, then please feel free to let me know. Okay, this makes me think it's post Big Hero 6, right? Because obviously they got their full costumes donned and everything. Hero especially has got his full costume on. Obviously Baymax got his a little bit earlier. But what are they battling? Obviously there's some big explosion that's caused them to be knocked away. A heartless invasion, perhaps, who knows. That Sora model is just gorgeous. I mean, I'll be the first to admit I didn't think they looked particularly good in the earlier trailers, and honestly even Kingdom Hearts 0.2, but the time has been well spent creating the absolute crap out of these models, refining them perfectly. I am really like visually, I think honestly the visuals are one of the most important parts of these games, so they look beautiful. Okay, let's not fanboy over that anymore. Okay, so next, in the film Big Hero 6, Hero created these nanoblocks. That was his introduction to the scientific community. They paid attention to him because of that, and he forms Big Hero 6 with these other awesome inventors. So, if we have a look here, I mean, the plot of the first game was plot of the first film, only film, was that a villain, let's say, took control of these nanobots that could be effectively controlled with the person's mind, and used them to basically terrorize San Fransokyo, as well as, be an antagonist with them to the main characters of Big Hero 6. So it looks like potentially that plot is either being co-opted for Kingdom Hearts 3 and we'll be like, okay, we'll use that element of the plot, or it's some sort of flashback maybe, or they're just going to go ahead and repeat it because, I guess it would be fun to play against. What's super interesting though is the design on these corrupted blocks. So if you've played RA Coded, you will be no stranger to that design, because that is exactly identical to the blocks from Kingdom Hearts RA Coded. Now, what does that mean? They could have Hero working on his blocks, that's his little not his power per se, but he definitely used those to traverse and, you know, fight off enemies with them. What if they get corrupted somehow in the same fashion that the data journal got corrupted in Kingdom Hearts RE Coded with that same sort of bug virus thing? Well, how might that happen? Well, potentially Sora wants to analyze the contents of another book that could be very important in Kingdom Hearts lore, potentially some sort of prophetic book, you know, some sort of book of prophecies, one might call it. You know, who knows why anyone would want to do that, because the plot of Unicross is not really relevant to Kingdom Hearts 3, but anyway, we'll get aside that. And potentially that same data corruption leaks out. And, you know, people ask me what the point of RE Coded was, and I sort of have to laugh and go, I think the entire point of RE Coded was for Nomura to establish that, or set precedent for the fact that you can make entire worlds with quote-unquote living beings inside, you know, out of data, out of anything, even outside of a journal, right? You can digitize that entire journal and have a living, not breathing, but a living community of people still inside that I guess are as real as anyone else. Union Cross. I don't know, I just find it super interesting that all these blocks now bear the motif of this data block. But anyway, we'll move on a little bit more. Go ahead and put that away and keep going. So obviously we get a little quick flash of Honey right there, but nothing too clear. She's obviously in a full costume, and again, we're going to see, I think that's Fred there. He's obviously used some sort of frost attack on, again, the attacking blocks, and you can see that pattern super clearly on these frozen blocks here, so definitely go check that out. Okay, and here is just tapping away, somehow controlling a keyboard through with his enormous fingers through his enormous gloves. But in any case, Sora wearing a visor there, so I would assume that's going to be Sora's costume, if you will, for San Fransokyo. Who knows? You know, obviously we don't see that initially when he enters the world, so potentially he's integrated as part of the team, and therefore gets to have that. He was wielding his Toy Story keyblade there, which I guess that means maybe he hasn't received the Big Hero 6 keyblade yet. Who knows? Really, really quick shot of Randall there. I mean, it's really, really nice to see him in there. It's excellent to see him in there. Like, he looks great. But outside of that, I don't really think too much was revealed. I sort of assumed that they're walking towards potentially the scare floor, that, you know, that huge door. And you can see that Boo is actually underneath Mike Wazowski there. Potentially they're going to take her back. Like, this is, you know, the way it says you boys are going to leave without saying goodbye implies that they've already taken care of a lot of the plot of, you know, of the Monsters Inc. world. Potentially going to go ahead, okay, everything's done now, we're going to go take Boo through her door and take her home. Obviously spoilers for Monsters Inc. if you haven't seen that. And obviously Randall's not too happy about that, being the villain. So he sticks some Dream Eaters or Heartless or Vanitas on him, who knows. But aside from that, I didn't really get too much out of this little scene. But if you guys did, please let me know. There's that huge box there that the camera sort of gestures towards. Maybe something's going to spring out of that, but I don't know. I love the fluid, like the really fluid nature of these Nobodies. I mean, I don't quite think that was the way they were before. Like, not like, they look like barely, like a liquid that's barely being held together, but I don't know, these Marluxia themed Nobodies look freaking sick. I'm really, really happy to see those. They're wielding these sights up to see that look very similar to Marluxia's, though not exactly the same. I don't know, I'm really, really keen to fight these enemies, is all I can tell you. It's curious that obviously we've seen Marluxia in previous trailers, but we haven't seen, you know, we've heard tell of these before, but we haven't really seen Luxine's Nobodies yet. Obviously Nobodies in Kingdom Hearts 2, apart from the Dusk and apart from the tiny little, God, I forget the name now, but the effectively the shadow equivalent of the Nobodies were controlled by effectively a very, very similar, you know, their organization member that represented them. So you'd have the dancers that were Demix, you'd have the samurais that were Roxas, and so on and so forth. You know, not wizards, you know the one I'm thinking for, sorcerers, that was Xemnas. So every organization member had a corresponding nobody associated with it, except the ones that were already dead. So we have Marluxia here, alive, very much in control of Nobodies. You know, I don't think he's part of the new organization, and he says as much. There is only one Organization 13, that's the original in a previous trailer. So maybe Luxine can't control Nobodies anymore, given that, you know, she's been naughted, if you will. So, I don't know. We're definitely keen to fight these things. And again, just displaying how freaking amazing these models look. Poor old Donald there behind Sora, getting no camera work, but Rapunzel and Flynn there looking just spectacular, potentially better than the films. I want to see the Digital Foundry do another comparison between the Pixar films themselves and Kingdom Hearts 3. A teaser for another hypothetical Square Enix game. I know Deus Ex had a hypothetical Final Fantasy. It's like 30 or something, or 33. I forget what it was, but it was a Final Fantasy whatever number in that game. And here we go, another fake game published by Square Enix, Verum Rex. I don't know if the Rex part is a call, well, a reference to our friend Rex right here, but I want to, hopefully we get to play that game as a mini game. Maybe Sora can jump up on grab a controller and start playing some Verum Rex. I don't know. I doubt it, but $59.99. So they hold that $60 price tag in Kingdom Hearts Land as well. Interesting. There are some other games on the shelf as well, but I don't know. I guess we can't really see that. Space Cat in the background there. I guess a reference to Star Fox. Not really too hard to get that reference, but we go ahead and challenge young Xehanort. Now, it's not the calm introduction that young Xehanort had in previous Toy Story trailers. Sora's pissed off at him already, right? So they've obviously had some clashes at earlier points in Kingdom Hearts 3. But what he says here interests the crap out of me because he can't let Sora leave yet. He has more to observe. Now, that really reminds me of a certain character that basically all he's allowed to do is observe. With a particular keyblade, he has to take that keyblade and he has to use it to observe. We've never seen young Xehanort wielding that keyblade, but it really reminded me of it. Obviously, Master's he will inherit that keyblade one day in his older form, but I don't know. I mean, I guess that line makes me think, okay, Lushu is effectively confirmed to be young Xehanort's master at that point. Or at least the succession was passed on from the Master of Masters to Lushu to, whoever, if there were people in between, down to young Master Xehanort. And the implication was, the insistence was always there. You have to take this Keyblade and you have to watch everything in the future. You have to always watch, especially the important stuff. Make sure my Keyblade is there observing. So, whether they found a way to circumvent needing the Keyblade to do that, or, I don't know. I'm really curious about this part. I could be way off. It could just be him, young Master Xehanort reporting back for the current Organization 13, and not, the Master of Masters and Lushu. But when I saw I have more to observe, my first thought was Lushu. That sounds exactly like Lushu's role. So, I don't know. We'll get past that. Pulling out the the good old Toy Story Keyblade there. That model looks just amazing. They really have done so much work on their modeling, and I guess I'm going to keep fangirling over that, but okay, now we get some combat. So Sora is already in a dry form here, doing some Keyblade transformations in the background there. Hopefully you guys can see with this garbage YouTube resolution. But in the initial teaser, that teaser image for Big Hero 6, there were all these balloons strewn about the skyscraper, and I guess Sora was fighting that Baymax, probably maybe bouncing from balloon to balloon. That could be a cool flow motion style, not quick time event, but you know what I mean. Incorporating those into his attacks, and I think that's what you can see in the background there. All those hot air balloons above the San Fransokyo, I believe that's what it's called, skyline. But obviously Keyblade transformations are back. We're whipping around this Baymax style Keyblade, which we're seeing for the first time. Nano Arms command style. We do get to see a little bit of that. Obviously Nano Arms representing the nano blocks that zap out, that Hero invented. But yeah, a fusion between Baymax and the nanoblocks seems pretty cool. Baymax confirmed to be a party member, but none of the other team members of Big Hero 6, which is really interesting. Forming a giant fist out of nanoblocks, beating the crap out of some huge Heartless. So that was taking place at dusk, and it looks like, this looks like daytime right here, just, midday, what have you, on the top of a skyscraper, no less. So I can't see any of those balloons that I just mentioned, but you can obviously see these cool little statues off in the background. The beautiful skyline advertising different TV shows, different clothing stores, all sorts of things. I don't know. I think this is going to be in the same way that we got to explore, the world that never was, this skyscraper, a little bit in Kingdom Hearts 3D. I'm hoping we get to do the same thing here. I'm confirming that Heartless are going to be our enemies in the Big Hero 6 world. You can see Baymax getting absolutely juggled by what looks like, I think, a Neo Shadow or some sort of Heartless in the background there. All sorts of weird things coming out of the walls, and then obviously we go ahead and do a shot lock where we sort of reach out the nano blocks from the Keyblade and just go bap and zap them straight at the enemies. Oh, it just looks glorious. But yeah, Baymax is having a hard time with Neo Shadows. And then the return of the Gummi ship. Alrighty, so we can see very, very similar, weapon Gummies on the front there. You've got the lasers and you've got the, star directional firing that we had in Kingdom Hearts 2 and Kingdom Hearts 1 for that matter. So obviously customization is very much back. Are we going to be able to use stickers on these things? I mean, that little heart symbol right there, which has been a motif for the Kingdom Hearts series for a long, long time, but I don't know that it's ever directly appeared in a game before. But I mean, there we go. There it is right there in all its glory. These ships look absolutely gorgeous, don't they? Heartless themed ships right there. I guess you can... That's a candy style. Is that confirming? I'm literally just realizing this now. Obviously, in Wreck-It Ralph, we got to go to quite a candy-themed world. Man, I'm just thinking now, is that some sort of tease for that? Like, why would it be... That'd be a ship that you fight, right? I assume that would be some sort of ship that you go ahead and fight on your way to another world. You know, it's very, very ice cream themed. Or it could be a Disney world, I suppose. But check it out, down the very, very bottom there. Down the very, very bottom there. You guys, again, probably can't see this, but it looks like that's patterned with, you know, the background that they use a lot in Kingdom Hearts 3 trailers, where you have, you know, the keyblade symbol, the heart symbol, the heartless symbol, the nobody symbol, all the different kinds of symbols. So lots of different texturing going on all the different blocks, like ice cream texturing right there. You'll see fur in a second, there it is, and like the glass, the fire theme, looks really gorgeous. Like obviously the Final Fantasy enemies are represented again there. And there we go again. So it almost looks like it's not on rails, but it kind of has to be, right? It still has to be on rails. But the way you've got like a Heartless chasing you there, I don't know if you still get to turn around like you did in in Kingdom Hearts 2, or maybe it's the sort of thing where you go ahead and repeat levels and you know, have the ability to look left, look behind you, look right on subsequent playthroughs. You can see that the weapon menu changes slightly here, so keep an eye on the bottom right hand. Oh, no, my screen's covering it. Hang on. So keep an eye on that. You can see the... this is a tiny detail, but you can see that moved ever so slightly, so they obviously haven't locked it in perfectly just yet. But you can see that second and third section there looks like, you know, obviously very, very space themed the first time with the constellations and whatever, but on... Look at all the tangled vines. That must be on the way to, I would assume, Rapunzel's world. I would assume with, you know, there's tangles everywhere, but this looks like it's on the way to Frozen, right? Arendelle, whatever it's called. You know, frozen crystals everywhere, a literal castle, so that seems to be a very, very obvious giveaway that Gummi ship route is the one that you fly to on the way to Arendelle. Now, Vanitas is narrating the rest of the trailer, which is super interesting. Like, what gives him the authority over someone like, you know, Xemnas or Ansem? I mean, I don't know, but he's the one that's going to be speaking through this really, really quick snap montage. So, oh, the chessboard which gives us so much to talk about. Let's go just bring that back just a smidge. So the chessboard has always represented basically the fight between good versus evil, or light versus darkness rather. We saw that in the very, very first Kingdom Hearts trailers, where young Xehanort was playing young Master Ericus in this metaphorical quote-unquote chess game. And if I had to guess, I would guess we would keep cutting back to that over the course of the game. So as you know, maybe that might be our introduction to the game. We'll see that cutscene with young Master Xehanort, young Master Ericus, and the chess game will begin. Well, maybe not equal pieces on each side, but the 13 versus 7, let's say. As the game progresses, things aren't looking good for our friend Sora here. Obviously, that Sora is represented in the very, very center there by the crown, surrounded on all sides by the enemy. With one exception, there's one enemy in the top left, just chilling out, just watching. Really not getting in the way of things, which is super interesting. But I've gone ahead and put up a little bit of a breakdown for each of the different pieces there. Chessboard, that's the one I want. Okay, so I captured this frame a few frames after the one we're just on now, as it's really starting to transition to the Riku and Mickey frame, so I'll bring that up right now. So there are 10 darkness pieces represented, and 1 light piece represented, with 5 already knocked over in the background. Now this could be metaphorical, you know, young Master Xehanort could be winning the chess game, but it doesn't take a genius to figure out that things could potentially not be looking good for our friend Sora. Man, by the conclusion of Kingdom Hearts 3. So, who are the pieces? Obviously, Luxord and young Master Xehanort on the left there. Luxord being the dice, very, very easy to sell, and presumably young Master Xehanort represented by the hourglass, being his element being time. Ansem, Seeker of Darkness up the top there. Again, I'll just keep flicking backward and forward. Let's keep, go a little bit closer. Okay. I hope you guys can still see that, but that looks very much like the Guardian up the top there. So that would represent Ansem, Seeker of Darkness, and therefore presumably Xemnas flanking him on his left, with presumably Master Xehanort at the very, very top. Again, the one I'm calling Master Xehanort at the top, you can barely even see any of it, but one would presume that's him. On the right hand side, Vanitas representing those gears. It looks exactly like his keyblade, not hard to tell at all. And like same with the knives. But there are two that we don't quite know yet. And again, spoilers for the end of the trailer, but I guess you're already watching this far, so who cares. Now, we have that flower right there, that six-pronged flower. People will go ahead and say, well, what if that's Aqua? We've seen her being Norted already. And I would say, I don't agree, because people are going, okay, that's the Wayfinder, right? And I understand why you're saying that, because the Wayfinder has 5 prongs. Well, sorry, the Wayfinder looks like that, except the Wayfinder has 5 prongs. So we can see that there. The Wayfinder has 5 different prongs there, and people have said, well, what if one is, the darkness being shoved in where it doesn't belong? Well, that may be the case, but I'm willing to believe it's someone that we don't know yet. I unfortunately believe Aqua could very well be part of this chessboard, but I don't know, she could be one of the ones that's knocked over already, and a piece, claimed for the, for the darkness side. I don't know how this hypothetical chess game works on a diagonal board. And someone at the very, very top left there. Now, we definitely don't know who that is, so I'll go ahead and blow up this top left piece here. Wherever that is, let's go ahead and make that at the very, very top. Okay, so this top left piece here interests the ever-loving crap out of me. It has this really, stylistic, very, very thin piece. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, it looks like Malusha's scythe, rather. But I was like, I don't really think Malusha is a part of this Neo organization, so that might not make sense unless they go ahead and recapture him against his will. But it did sort of remind me of keyblades like this and this. Okay, bang. Just that really stylistic edges to him. In fact, that one looks very much like it. Very much like it indeed. So part of me is like, okay, well, Roxas and Xion wielded those keyblades. Or Roxas, rather. I don't know. It's definitely got a really nobody vibe about it. I'll say that much at least. So who knows what that actually is. Again, if you guys have any ideas on these pieces, then I'd definitely be keen to hear about it. Let's get going forward, though. Okay, our boy Riku looking very fresh with a brand new haircut and a brand new attitude. So, looking very different to when we first saw that render of him there, holding his brand new keyblade. So, he's got the long hair that he did in Kingdom Hearts 2 here. Really interesting. Does he get a haircut at some point and then turn into this Kingdom Hearts 3 render? I doubt they've changed his design this close to the release of the game. But I mean, they could have. But I mean, this image is promotional art that they put out in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross recently. But, you know what? Things can definitely change. He doesn't have the same rounded buttons on his jacket, so maybe that is a redesign that's happened very, very recently. I mean, who knows? I'm okay with it. I'm okay with long-haired Riku again, looking more like his Kingdom Hearts 2 days. I'm happy with that. Not that I don't mind his hair like it is currently that much, but I mean, I definitely don't mind long-haired Riku. Or again, this is before he gets his ass beat and gets the new haircut with the new keyblade. Who knows? Even though we just got a haircut at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 day. Okay, moving on a little bit more. Boy, oh boy. Whoops, you guys can't see. Boy, oh boy. How interesting is this? Sora in his Kingdom Hearts 3 attire, picking up the Master's Keyblade. What's happened here? So this is now canon, I guess? It's not just a promotional teaser image for Kingdom Hearts 3? So Aqua has sent off that Keyblade. Or it's washed up on the shores of Destiny Islands, the same way that the bottle that Kairi sent from Destiny Islands out into the world ended up on the, the dark shores. The shores of the Dark Meridian, whatever. Has Aqua lost herself to Xehanort and then thought, okay, I've got one option if I ever want to save Ven. This Keyblade needs to go to someone I can trust. And we saw at the end of the cutscene from Birth by Sleep Final Mix, Blank Points, all the characters in the game seem to trust Sora. They have that really awesome montage where every one of them look up to the sky. Even the characters that don't really exist anymore and just sort of hope to Sora. So she sends this Keyblade off. She's about to be taken by darkness, knows there's no hope. Poor Aqua, man, it just doesn't get any better for her. Sends the Keyblade off, just willing it towards Sora in the same way that Kairi willed that letter towards him in Kingdom Hearts 2. And he finds it. And, I mean, where do we go from there? We go ahead back to Castle Oblivion, try and rescue Ven. I don't know, I'm really curious, guys. Oh boy. But I mean, that's only half a second. We've still got plenty to talk about, so Luxor looking really interesting here. Looking super interesting. I don't know, the model looks a little bit different, but I guess they're just sort of showing us the organization members. And, is it Sven and the reindeer? I didn't really watch Frozen. Almost frozen in place there. This is super interesting. This right here is showing us 2 versions of the photo taken out the front of Twilight Town. Now, if you guys aren't remembering which photo this one is, we actually do see this one for a brief second in Kingdom Hearts 2 when Roxas goes ahead and defeats that Dusk. He recovers all of the photos that it took because it was trying to steal Roxas, but I guess, you know, the Nobody couldn't read data that well and was, you know, mucking around in the configuration file and just took anything that featured a picture of Roxas in it. So he stole photos of Roxas. This is one of the ones that they recovered, and this is definitely that same photo there, re-rendered in Kingdom Hearts 3, which is just beautiful to behold. So, why would there be two versions, of course? Well, if you presume that the characters were modeled so perfectly that everything that the digital data, Pence, Hana, and Olette did, the real ones did as well, then there would be two alternate versions, one in which, the fake one in which Roxas exists, and the real one in which he doesn't. I guess the photos have either come outside the data world, or these guys have gone in and found that photo. I don't know, that would make the most sense. Or, again, all digital images have come out, and it's sort of like in Kingdom Hearts 2, where, you know, Olette is like, well, this is my money pouch, and Sora's like, well, why do I have the same thing? You know, they're comparing real digital items, and I guess they've already gone through this before, knowing there's a fake Twilight Town, so I guess we're going back into Data Twilight Town. Any Naminé in the background there? No, I can't see her. That's a shame. Alright, moving forward. Beautiful Seeker of Darkness in Twilight Town there, and I guess they're both in Twilight Town. Oh crap, we just passed right over that. Even at a quarter speed, that scene goes by very quickly. Oh dear, oh dear. And speaking of females getting naughty, whoops. Speaking of females, original Kingdom Hearts 3 female characters having a really hard time in this game. That looks like it's Xion, who's been naughted, and based on the color palette of the background there, it looks like we're in the world that never was. Oh boy. Xemnas always did say that they had a more suitable candidate, you know, a more suitable vessel for the key, like a conduit for the Keyblade's power in Xion, and I guess they were right. Now, whether this is the original Xion or they've recreated the puppet, probably not. I would guess it's the original Xion. That when did they have time to naught her? I guess they may have gone back in time and put a quick, you know, quick naughting right before, I don't know, right before she goes to fight Roxas. You know, we have that 3-stage fight in Halloween Town and somewhere else, and Twilight Town and Kingdom Hearts 3 5 over 2 days. Wonderland and days. And yeah, I guess they got her. Oh dear, that's not great. Alright, keep moving on. And then Vanitas in his regular costume. And where is this? You know, there's jewels in the background here. I don't know, this reminds me of the Land of Departure for some reason, that colour. But I can't really tell where that is. If you guys have any idea, let me know. But I mean, I guess given that it's Vanitas appearing there, it would have to be, you know, the Monsters Inc. world, but I don't have any proof of that at all. It's just, I don't know, I'm really curious about where this is. If you guys know, let me know. And here we are. Now, I can barely even see this, but from what I've discussed with people swear to me, and I have kind of seen it in, like, small pictures. You know, you can see, like, the chest of someone shiny being reflected, potentially in a certain stance, in a Keyblade graveyard area. Ladies and gentlemen, I think this is the Lingering Will, which would be really, really freaking cool if we get to fight, I don't know, I guess refight the Lingering Will in maybe a more canon version. Who knows if the Kingdom Hearts 2 was canon, like Kingdom Hearts 2 was Kingdom Hearts 2 fight was canon or not. My apologies. But yeah, having Mickey there, potentially to jog his memory, that would be sweet. That would be very, 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 very sweet. And then, finally, everyone's waifu. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Look at those tattered clothes. It looks just like Riku's outfit from Kingdom Hearts 1. Oh dear, poor Aqua. The suffering has not concluded just yet. It just never ends. And look at that beautiful Starseeker styled Kingdom Key looking thing. I don't know what's going on there, but man, holy crap, there's so much going on. That was a really, really fun trailer. It was only a minute and a half, and we got a lot out of it. I really enjoy breaking this thing down. Again, if you guys want me to clarify anything, or you have ideas, you tell me I'm wrong, please let me know. Let me know that I'm wrong. I really want to, like, delve into this thing. We are so close, and I'm getting so freaking hyped, guys. So, man, stay tuned for more Union Cross content. I'm going to do this with a few more Kingdom Hearts trailers. I'll try every day to get that Kingdom Hearts Union Cross story video out, and how it ties into the franchise at large. But anyway, guys, I'm running out of voice, so I'll catch you guys later. All the best. Thanks so much. Bye.